and serious tone. The day we buried my mother, my brother Daniel leaned across the table, looked me straight in the eyes, and said the words I will never forget. "You stole from her, Karen. We all know it." I remember the room went quiet. My sister Sharon stared at the floor, the lawyer shuffled his papers, and I sat there, in the same black dress I'd worn 6 hours earlier at the cemetery, feeling my whole body go cold. I had spent 2 years of my life caring for our mother, 2 years of sleepless nights, crushed pills, cold coffee, and quiet prayers. And now, before the flowers on her grave had even wilted, I was a thief. But nobody in that room knew what Mom had left behind, and nobody knew what I was about to find. Let me back up. My name is Karen. I'm 51 years old. 3 years ago, I had a job I actually liked, office manager at a small accounting firm downtown. Nothing glamorous, but it was mine. I had a little apartment, a used car I'd finally paid off, and a plan to maybe travel a little before I got too old to enjoy it. Then Mom got the diagnosis. Stage 4. The doctors used words like manage and comfort. And I understood what they really meant. Someone was going to have to be there, every day. And when I looked around at my family, there was no one else raising their hand. Daniel had his business 2 states away. "Somebody's got to keep the lights on," he said. Sharon had her kids, her husband, her book club. "I just can't uproot everything, Karen. You understand?" So I did what daughters like me do. I gave my notice at work. I let the apartment go. I moved into Mom's house with 2 suitcases and told myself it would only be for a little while. It was not a little while. My mother, Eleanor, was 79 and stubborn as a mule. She'd raised 3 kids mostly on her own after Dad passed early. She was the kind of woman who apologized for needing help, even when she could barely stand. "I don't want to be a burden," she used to whisper. She was never a burden, not for one single day. But the illness was. It took her strength, then her appetite, then her independence. And piece by piece, I gave up my own life to hold hers together. Here's what 2 years of caregiving actually looks like, in case you've never done it. It's a whiteboard on the kitchen wall, with 7 medications and their exact times. It's setting alarms for 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. It's learning how to check blood pressure, how to change dressings, how to lift a grown woman without hurting her or yourself. It's the hospital parking garage at 3 in the morning. It's memorizing which nurse actually calls you back. It's cooking soft food she can swallow and then eating her leftovers standing over the sink because you forgot to feed yourself. And it's the money. Oh, the money. Her pension covered some things, but not all of it. The co-pays, the equipment, the ramp for the front door, the special mattress. When her account ran short one month, I paid it, and the next month, and the one after that. I never told anyone. I didn't want it to be a thing. I just quietly went into debt, keeping my mother comfortable. And I told myself family doesn't keep score. I was so wrong about that. The first crack showed up about a year in. Daniel called, not to check on Mom, but to ask a question that made my stomach drop. "Hey, quick thing. Are you handling Mom's accounts?" "I pay her bills, yes," I said. "Why?" "No reason. Just want to make sure everything's, accounted for." Accounted for. A few weeks later, Sharon started calling more often, friendly at first. Then the questions got sharper. "How much is in Mom's savings these days? Did she ever talk about the house?" You'd tell us if she changed anything, right? I didn't understand it then. I was too exhausted to see it. But looking back, I know exactly what was happening. While I was watching my mother die, they were watching her estate. And somewhere in those months, money started moving out of her accounts. Not by me. I didn't know it yet, but the pieces were already being set on the board. The last 3 months were the hardest. Mom slept most of the day. On her good afternoons, she'd hold my hand and talk. One day, out of nowhere, she said something strange. "Karen, I put a letter somewhere safe. If things get ugly, you find Alan. You understand me, you find Alan." Alan was her attorney. I thought she was confused from the medication. I said, "Okay, Mom, don't worry about any of that." She squeezed my hand harder than she had in weeks. "Promise me you'll find it." I promised. Then I forgot. I was too busy keeping her alive to think about letters and lawyers. She passed away on a Tuesday morning, just after sunrise, with my hand in hers. I was the only one there. The funeral was on a Friday. Donna said, Daniel and Sharon flew in Thursday night, cried the appropriate amount, and shook the appropriate hands. The will reading was the following Monday, at Mr. Reyes's office. That's when it happened. Mr. Reyes had barely started reading when Daniel interrupted. He slid a folder across the table. Bank statements. Before we go any further, he said, we need to talk about the missing money. I stared at the pages. Over the last 2 years, tens of thousands of dollars had left our mother's accounts. Withdrawals, transfers, payments I didn't recognize. Karen was the only one with access, Sharon said quietly, not meeting my eyes. She controlled everything. I couldn't breathe. I paid her bills. I have receipts. I put my own money in. Sure you did, Daniel snapped. That's convenient. You quit your job. You had no income, and somehow you got by for 2 years? Where'd that money come from, Karen? The room spun. Everything I'd sacrificed, twisted into evidence against me. My debt, the debt I took on for her, turned into proof that I was a liar. They didn't see a grieving daughter. They saw a suspect. I got up, grabbed my purse, and walked out. In the parking lot, I sat in my car and cried harder than I had at the funeral, because at the funeral, I still had my family. Now, I had nothing. Next 10 minutes. I almost drove away for good. I almost let them have it. The house, the money, the story, where I was the villain. I was too tired to fight, and then I heard my mother's voice. Clear as day. You find Alan, you understand me? The letter. I went back inside. Mr. Reyes was still at his desk. My siblings had gone. My hands were shaking when I said, my mother told me she left a letter with you. She made me promise to find it. Mr. Reyes looked at me for a long moment. Then something in his face changed, like a weight he'd been carrying finally had somewhere to go. I wondered if you'd ask, he said. Your mother left specific instructions. This second document was only to be opened if there was conflict in the family. I'd say we have conflict. He unlocked a drawer and pulled out a sealed envelope and a thick folder beside it. And, inside the folder were my mother's own records. She had kept track of everything. Every payment, every withdrawal, every deposit, including the ones I'd made from my own account to cover her bills. But that wasn't the part that stopped my heart. There was a log of transfers Mom had noticed and quietly documented. Transfers to an account that wasn't mine. An account belonging to Daniel. Over 18 months, my brother had borrowed from our mother's savings, using an old signing arrangement from years back. He called them loans. He never paid a cent back. And Sharon had found out, and instead of stopping him, she'd stayed quiet to protect her share of what was left. Mr. Reyes read the letter aloud. In it, my mother wrote in her own shaky handwriting, "This is a deep reason. To whoever is reading this, I know what has been happening with my money. I chose not to fight my son while I was alive, because I did not want to spend my last days at war with my children. But I will not let my daughter Karen carry the blame. She gave up her life for me. Everything she spent on me. If they turn on her, show them the truth. And Karen, thank you. You were my whole heart." I broke down right there in that office. She knew. She'd known all along. She'd protected me from the grave. Justice, karma, Mr. Reyes didn't waste any time. He called Daniel and Sharon back in. He laid the records on the table. My mother's documentation, the transfer logs, my receipts, and the letter. The room that had been so loud with accusations went dead silent. Daniel tried to talk his way out of it. Those were loans. Mom knew. It was between us. They're documented as unauthorized withdrawals, Mr. Reyes said calmly. By her own hand. That's a serious matter, and there's a formal complaint process for exactly this kind of thing. Under the terms of the will and the evidence in front of us, the truth couldn't be undone. The money Daniel took was counted against his share of the estate. The debt I'd taken on for Mom was repaid to me first, out of the accounts. And the house my mother wanted me to have, as it turned out, was mine. There were no dramatic threats, no screaming revenge, just consequences, in black and white, that my brother and sister couldn't argue away. Daniel's business troubles became public knowledge in the family soon after. Sharon's silence cost her the trust of her own children when the story got around. I didn't have to lift a finger. The truth did all the work. People ask me if I hate them. Honestly, I don't have the energy for hate. What I feel is quieter than that. It's a kind of peace. I moved back into my mother's house, my house now. I sat in her kitchen the first morning, under that same whiteboard I'd finally wiped clean, and I drank my coffee slow. For the first time in 2 years, no alarms, no emergencies, just the sun coming through the window she loved. I lost my career, I lost my savings. For a while I lost my family, but I never lost myself, and I never lost her love. She saw me, right to the very end. She made sure the world would see me too. If you're out there caring for someone you love, and it feels like nobody notices, I need you to hear this. Someone notices. What you're doing matters. And the truth has a way of coming out, even when you've given up hope that it ever will. My mother taught me that, even after she was gone,